The deep and earliest method of healing and bringing form into being is sound and tone. In the most ancient times, before the world began, in the origin creation stories, you'll hear from the Bible, indigenous people, and others about a specific vibration and tone, or words and sacred syllables were creation itself. You may be familiar with the saying, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was God. Breaking this down further, previously secret and sacred vibrational intonations and compositions are an influential language instructing through the careful resonance that occurs sometimes in the sky, earth, and within our very being. These compositions were invocational symbols carrying power and specific meaning based on the intention, frequency, pattern, sounds, and tones. These earliest sounds now are mostly obscure, with only a few ancient traditions that have carried the sounds through time in secrecy only for the initiates who are trained in reverence with these special practices that uplevel their beings, open their heart, and connect the listener into higher levels of consciousness as they stimulate specific areas of what we would call in Western science the pituitary gland, and activating the crystalline structure identified by science. Now, some of these mysterious confidential reverberations are re-emerging to impart their resonance and transformation in the world because it's time. Sound mandalas are some of these sacred reverberations that are advanced formations with extraordinary designs. Often the form is circular and mathematical with intricate patterns found in many cultures around the world, and these are also considered sacred geometry. These patterns are actually dimensional gateways that engage spiritual, emotional, and psychological formation and meaning as spiritual guidance tools for meditation, accessing non-ordinary states of consciousness, and creating sacred space. However, the mandala is not only a flat design created with material, but is also created by the effect of particular sounds, creating form, dimension, and pattern. The work of the pioneer Hans Jenny reveals the beginning understanding of sound mandalas created by captured tonal reverberations called cymatics. Cymatics are the visible reverberations for a specific sound or tone as a frequency that creates an actual shape seen by our human eyes. In cymatics, sounds emanating through a speaker onto a plate of sand or powder are seen creating specific shapes and forms that capture the intention and intensity of the tone. The visible cymatic reverberations are seen because the fine powder or sand reveal formless matter that takes on shapes and complex patterns through the sound vibration. These simply cymatic forms are basic sounds that are created by people who are not trained in the protocols of preparation, like internal sacred preparation, in sacred practices or use, intention or overtones or other complexities. The absence of these kinds of preparation and application to using the sound shows us or allows us to consider and imagine how training and practice, focus and intention, and overlaying harmonization creates synchronistic tones and frequencies of exquisitely beautiful mandala effects as dynamic, sacred, vibrational patterns emanating codes of catalyzation and transformation. And this is not only conjecture. Masaru Emoto brought attention to the power of words with his work in the highly regarded and groundbreaking evidence in the research recorded in his video, Messages from Water. In his work, he reveals how ice crystals and written and spoken words change the development, formation, and presence of water when it is in ice form. These written or spoken words are simply spoken or written and not even paired with focus and intention or emotion, tones, or sacred vibrational practices. Using ice crystals with spoken and written words, revealed loving words create beautiful, detailed formations like delicate and intricate snowflakes, while negative words and phrases change the ice crystals into a shapeless form without definition or refinement, lacking beauty as if they can no longer interface in their full ability, dulled with loss of purpose. And that shows how influential our energy is towards the water or something, whatever it might be. Considering human beings are generally 70 to 80% water, how we speak to others, the words we consume, including the sound we listen to from media and music, and how we speak internally to ourselves is a potent, influential, and powerful incantation or spell over ourselves and others. The next wave of research into the mysteries of water after Masaru Emoto is by Veda Austin, who reveals water as a living intelligence. If you've read any ancient references to river water that we consume and deeply influences us. Just as ancient cultures understood the essence of water as the great spiritual connection and essence of life and a vibrant connection to the spiritual world, they also understood the relationship of water vibration within the body using particular sounds, tones, frequency, rhythms, and patterns. Ancient cultures used sound and the components listed above for rituals and ceremony, gathering people together, healing, connection within, and connection as a group. In Hinduism, mantras are used to elevate consciousness through the vibrational patterns that act as doorways, allowing the participant who is either listening or chanting to transcend their ordinary reality into heightened consciousness. Today, we call this releasing our ordinary state of beta brainwaves and accessing alpha brainwaves, changing our heart rate and respiration with the potential to access even deeper states. In ancient Greece, Pythagoras influenced many people by his understanding of music's potential, specific music, to harmonize the soul and the person within the cosmos. Ancient Greeks also believed that music travels with air and will enter the body via the ears as a gate to the soul. And then the brain processes the sound, which eventually will be transmitted through the body with the blood. This way, the effect of the music will reach each organ and finally deep into the soul. And the Greek philosopher Plato understood music is able to bypass reason and penetrate into the very center of our being, causing a great impact because resonance, harmony, and rhythm connect into our innermost soul in a profound way that takes hold of us and is transformative. In Tibet and that region of the world, the sounds of the Tibetan bowls have been in use for at least 2,500 years. Their mystical purposes help facilitate entering the meditative state, enhancing focus and connection through the sounds with purification and connection to spirituality, fostering peace and balance. And we also know that when the bowls are placed on our body, they reverberate through our system, through the water in our being, and are transformative. The didgeridoo is originally from the Northern Territory of North Australia, mostly in Arnhem Land, and is at least 10,000 years old and likely much older. It's used for healing and spiritual transformation, where it was used in ancient rituals and ceremonies to invoke healing, balance, and harmony promoting relaxation and reducing stress, and improving breathing and respiratory through these techniques. And here's a side story about the didgeridoo. I live in Tucson, Arizona, and every year Tucson has the world's largest gem show. And that also means there are not just gems, but many other, sometimes not very related items, and also many metaphysical aspects of gems and other services and products. And I was with a group of people at the gem show, and we found a didgeridoo player who was offering sessions. Our group paid him to play for us for about an hour, and he didn't know a thing about any of us. He didn't know our names, but we sat in a circle and he played. And consistently, he played over my friend's chest. He would come back and continue to play around her chest. And that occurred repeatedly through the hour session. And that person, he didn't know, had breast cancer, and she did recover. In ancient Egypt, there's evidence of ancient sound frequencies used in the architecture and for healing from 10,000 to 65,000 years ago. The wisdom keeper Hakim Al-Yan asserts sound and its various applications were manifestation and alchemical transformational methods that were used in ancient Egypt. Their use was not only for working with the environment, but also for the connection, holding consciousness in heightened and enlightened states, and healing, as well as creating a harmonized state within the group. Another notable ancient text that shares the use of sound principles is the 6 healing sounds of Taoism and traditional Chinese medicine, Taoist internal alchemy. This information was written down over 2,000 years ago and had already been in existence long before that time it was committed to text. The effects of using the 6 healing sounds include harmonization of the internal organs, stress and anxiety reduction, calming of the nervous system, enhancing circulation, removing excess energy accumulation, and promotion of mental and emotional regulation. And ancient tribal cultures worldwide have used drum rhythms in specific sound patterns to gather together their community for healing, for releasing the ordinary consciousness, and connecting deeply with their spiritual selves, sometimes even gathering information from beyond this reality for the betterment of the individuals within the community. These cultures are diverse and include the people of the Nordic region, including Denmark, Finland, Norway, Sweden, the Faroe Islands, Greenland, and Åland. Other people of the same region that predate the Norse are the Sami, who are an indigenous culture who lived in what is now called Norway, Sweden, Finland, and the Kola Peninsula in Russia. The very old drums from 3,350 to 2,700 BCE, which are related to several archaeological cultures in Germany, Austria, the Czech Republic, and Poland, are in the region as well. In Mesopotamia, 3,000 years ago, drums have been found, which is in modern-day Iraq. Nearly every culture in Africa also has a specific drum that is used for ceremonies, healing, and communication, and gathering people together. In South America, in the Andes, drums were used at least 500 BCE as methods, as in many cultures, for shamanic practices, accessing states of consciousness that brought information, communication with their cosmological system for their survival, health, and harmony. Areas of Maya in Mexico, Guatemala, Belize, and Honduras also have ancient drums, and their rhythms are an integral component of their way of life and culture. This is the same in North America, where indigenous peoples have been using the drum and its rhythms for thousands of years for the same purposes mentioned above, gathering together and holding the energy to sustain the gathering, creating harmony and resonance within each participant and the group simultaneously, spiritual interconnection and continued development of that connection, transcending the limitations of time and space. And the medicine people use these sacred sound patterns and rhythms for healing and accessing beyond their reality for insight, problem solving, heightening intuition, and sacred practices. We all have a drum in our ancestry as part of our cultural heritage. Given the information about how profound vibration, tone, frequency, patterns, rhythms, and sound healing is in transforming us, and considering our resonance as water-based beings, the reemergence of the availability of sacred rhythms, tones, patterns, vibrations, frequency as sound healing is a superpower. We are just beginning to remember the potent nature these influences have on us. Scientific research reveals listening to specific sound and rhythms are not only allowing us to shift into restorative and transformational states, these states are the same ones that reduce inflammation and stress that are underlying causes of physical and mental illnesses, and many of the most common ones. Over the last 40 years, there has been a reintroduction of some of the older practices for transformation that give us access to our own healing, empowerment, and beyond, to our inner relationship with unraveling traumas, accessing content not available in our outer world or rational mind. Our next step on the path is to apply these specific entrancing sound healing and transformative patterns and rhythms for our evolution. Here's a group of questions about sound healing. 1, why aren't teachers using specific sounds in classrooms to calm the students and create a sense of harmony and cohesiveness for the children so that they can be in the classroom? Number 2, why aren't the substance abuse clinics using specific sound protocols and systems that are devised for assisting with changing brain patterns for calm and centering, releasing positive hormones for mental and emotional balance and regulation, and diminishing disturbing hormones that cause stress and anxiety? The research is there. Number 3, why aren't the outpatient surgeries and dental offices helping their patients use specific musical listening methods to help people access and stay in a relaxed state instead of being anxious? And a calm patient makes the professional's job easier and their patient is happier. The research is there. Number 4, why aren't pain clinics using particular sound listening protocols for helping their patients diminish and manage pain through non-invasive, non-pharmaceutical methods? The research is all there. Number 5, why aren't we using curated sound and music systems for healing the neurological system from trauma? The research is there. Number 6, why aren't we using non-invasive and non-pharmaceutical curated sound healing systems for people, including children, teens, and adults, to get to sleep? The research is there. Number 7, why aren't we training people with depression and anxiety to use the systems of curated music to diminish their depression and anxiety? The research is there. Number 8, why aren't people who are using psychedelics, who want to continue to access a different level of consciousness, trained to use curated sound and music systems to access other levels of consciousness regularly to help them navigate, release positive hormones, and diminish depression and anxiety, gain gentle, incremental changes in their physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual components of their being? The research is there. Number 9, why aren't people who want to continue their spiritual awakening journey using curated sound and music protocols to highlight and navigate into deeper awareness, open their hearts into compassion, glean more understanding and development further? The practices are there. Like many things that get taken out of context, curated sound healing systems are the application of protocols that are transformative. Ancient people had protocols and systems for using these sound healing methods. We can use the superpower of curated sound and music systems for sound healing that gently, easily, and succinctly transform us, our current paradigm, in many ways.